How many times have you felt stuck, weighed down, like life is happening to you instead of for you? What if I told you that the chains holding you back aren't out there? They're inside you. They're the fears, the doubts, the old stories, and the attachments you refuse to release. Today, we're going to uncover 7 powerful things to let go, things that are draining your energy, limiting your potential, and keeping you from the life you deserve. Imagine the freedom, the clarity, the unstoppable momentum the moment you finally let them go. Have you ever noticed how much of your life is controlled by a story you keep telling yourself, a story that says, I'm not good enough, or I'll never be able to do that? We all have them. They're like invisible chains shaping how we see ourselves, how we respond to challenges, and even the opportunities we allow into our lives. But here's the truth, those stories are not facts, they're interpretations. They're beliefs we picked up along the way, some from childhood, some from people who didn't see our potential, some from experiences that hurt us. And when we carry them forward unexamined, we start living a life that's smaller than what we're truly capable of. The first step is realizing that these stories were never meant to be permanent. They're like clothes you've outgrown. You might have worn them for years, and they might even feel familiar, but they don't fit who you are today. And yet most people continue to wear those old stories because they're comfortable. Comfort is deceptive. Comfort feels safe, but it's often just fear in disguise. Fear of change, fear of failure, fear of stepping into something unknown. But growth, real growth, only begins when you're willing to take off those old clothes, even if it feels awkward at first. So how do you let go of a story that has defined so much of your life? You start by questioning it. Ask yourself, is this story true? Or is it just a belief I've been carrying? What evidence do I have that this is real? And what evidence do I have that it isn't? The moment you start asking these questions, you create space to see things differently, space to challenge the limitations you've accepted. And when you see that your story isn't a fixed truth, but a narrative you've been holding on to, you begin to reclaim your power. And here's the most exciting part. You get to write the next chapter. You have the pen in your hand. You can start telling yourself a new story, one that empowers you, one that celebrates your resilience, your courage, your potential. Instead of saying, I can't, you start saying, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm capable. Instead of believing that you're bound by your past, you begin to see every challenge as an opportunity to expand, to rise higher, to become more than you've ever imagined. This isn't just motivational talk. It's about a shift in identity. The moment you let go of the limiting story, you stop apologizing for who you are. You stop doubting yourself in situations where you once froze. You start making decisions from a place of confidence, not fear. You start seeing opportunities where you used to see obstacles. And life begins to open up in ways you never thought possible. Because the truth is, it's not about luck. It's not about timing. It's about the story you tell yourself and the beliefs you allow to drive your actions. So today, I challenge you, don't let yesterday's narrative control tomorrow's results. Take a deep look at the stories you've been carrying. Decide which ones serve you and which ones are holding you back, and have the courage to let go of the ones that do. Once you do, you'll feel it, freedom, energy, and a sense of possibility that can't be measured. You'll realize that the life you've been waiting for has been waiting for you to step into it all along, and now it's time to turn the page. Fear of rejection is one of the most powerful forces that holds people back, and yet it's completely invisible if you start looking at it honestly. Think about it for a moment. How many opportunities have slipped through your fingers because you were afraid of someone saying, now? How many dreams did you quietly bury because you imagined what others might think or because you didn't want to risk failing in front of them? Rejection is not just a momentary. Now, for many, it becomes a lifelong story, a belief that they're not enough, that they don't belong, that they're destined to fall short. But here's the truth, rejection does not define your worth. Never has, never will. The problem is that most people confuse rejection with failure, and they allow it to shape their identity. One no becomes 1,000 in their minds. One setback becomes proof that they're incapable. But think about it for a second. Every single person who has accomplished anything meaningful in life has faced rejection. Every inventor, every entrepreneur, every athlete, every artist has been told, you can't, more times than they can count. The difference between those who succeed and those who give up is simple. Those who succeed don't personalize the rejection. They don't see it as a verdict on their value. They see it as a signal, a lesson, an opportunity to adjust, grow, and try again. Letting go of the fear of rejection means shifting the way you define success and failure. It means understanding that the outcome of one interaction, one decision, one attempt doesn't control your life. It's not about avoiding no at all costs. It's about stepping into the discomfort anyway. It's about having the courage to put yourself out there, knowing that every rejection is just a stepping stone towards your growth. The more you expose yourself to it, the more you realize that it's not as scary as your mind made it out to be. In fact, rejection becomes a teacher, a guide that shows you what doesn't work and points you closer to what does. And here's where most people get stuck. They let their fear of rejection paralyze them. They wait for permission, approval, or a guarantee before they act. But life doesn't give guarantees, and permission rarely comes from anyone but yourself. Freedom comes the moment you stop asking others for validation. Freedom comes when you realize that your worth is internal, not external. The people who succeed aren't the ones who never hear no. They're the ones who hear it, feel it, acknowledge it, and then keep moving forward anyway. They understand that rejection is not rejection of their being. It's a redirection, a signal to refine their approach, strengthen their resolve. So what does this mean for you? It means that every time you feel that pang of fear, every time you imagine someone saying no, you have a choice. You can shrink, play small, and let it control you, or you can step up, take the risk, and prove to yourself that your value is independent of anyone else's opinion. You can embrace rejection as part of the journey, not as the end of it. And when you do, something amazing happens. You start living boldly, taking actions that once seemed impossible, and doors begin to open that you didn't even know existed. Opportunities appear because you're no longer held hostage by fear. Confidence replaces hesitation, momentum replaces stagnation, and every no becomes a stepping stone to the yes that matters most, your own personal victory. So today, choose courage over comfort. Step forward even when rejection is possible, because nothing worth having comes without risk. Every step you take beyond the fear of rejection is a step toward the life you've always wanted. And now take that step. Overthinking is something we all do, and yet it's one of the most silent enemies of action and progress. You sit there, turning possibilities over and over in your mind, analyzing every possible outcome, imagining every scenario, and before you know it, hours, days, or even weeks have passed, and nothing has changed. Your mind becomes a maze, and the very thing you're trying to solve feels more complicated than it really is. But here's the truth: clarity doesn't come from thinking more, it comes from acting. Movement produces clarity, not the other way around. Think about it. Every great accomplishment in history didn't happen because someone spent endless hours analyzing the risks or waiting for the perfect conditions. It happened because they took action and then they adjusted along the way. Action is what breaks the paralysis of the mind. Action is what turns ideas into reality. Overthinking, on the other hand, keeps you trapped in fear disguised as careful planning. It convinces you that waiting, hesitating, doubting is somehow safer than stepping forward, but in reality, it's robbing you of momentum, energy, and opportunity. The reason we overthink is simple: we're afraid. We're afraid of making the wrong decision, of failing, of looking foolish, of losing control. But here's the thing: every choice you make has uncertainty. Every path has risks. Life is never completely predictable, and trying to predict it perfectly is a trap. The more you try to control outcomes through endless analysis, the more you disconnect from what matters most: action, growth, and results. Freedom and progress don't come from perfection, they come from courage. The courage to take a step even when you don't have all the answers. So how do you break free from overthinking? You start small. You make a decision, any decision, and you commit to taking one concrete step forward. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be fully formed. The key is movement. As soon as you act, you create feedback, you learn what works and what doesn't, you gain confidence. You see possibilities that your mind alone could never have imagined. And the more you practice this, the less power overthinking has. Momentum becomes your ally. Action becomes your guide. Another powerful way to overcome overthinking is to shift your focus from problems to solutions. Instead of asking, what if this goes wrong? Ask, what can I do right now to move forward? Instead of imagining every obstacle, focus on the next best step. The mind is a tool, not a master. If you allow it to dominate, it will paralyze you. But if you use it to serve your actions, it becomes an engine for success, creativity, and opportunity. The truth is, clarity comes in motion. The moment you stop overthinking and start doing, you awaken a force inside you that can't be measured. Decisions become easier, challenges feel smaller, and opportunities become visible. Overthinking is a habit, but so is action. And the more you choose action over hesitation, the more your life begins to move in the direction you want. You'll start realizing that you were never truly limited by your circumstances, your intelligence, even your talent. It was your hesitation that held you back. So today, make the choice to step forward. Stop analyzing, stop doubting, stop waiting for perfect conditions. Take that first step, no matter how small, and trust that momentum will guide you. And now, take action. Some of the heaviest burdens we carry in life aren't things you can see. They're the invisible weights of people, relationships, and attachments that drain our energy, distract our focus, and hold us back from becoming the person we're meant to be. And yet, most of us cling to these attachments as if letting go would somehow be betrayal of loyalty, of love, of comfort. But the truth is, holding on to what no longer serves you doesn't make you loyal. It keeps you stuck. It keeps you small. It keeps you from experiencing the fullness of life. We all have relationships or connections that feel like anchors. Maybe it's a friendship that has turned one-sided, where the giving is always from you and the taking is always from them. Maybe it's a romantic relationship that drains you more than it lifts you. Maybe it's a family dynamic or even a work situation where negativity and criticism are constant, and yet you feel guilty stepping away. Holding on to these things is often rooted in fear of being alone, fear of confrontation, fear of change. But when you examine it honestly, you realize that the real fear isn't being alone, it's the fear of stepping into your own power. Letting go doesn't mean you hate the person or the situation. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you value yourself enough to recognize that not everything in your life is meant to be permanent, and not every connection is meant to nurture your growth. Life is constantly moving, and growth requires movement. Holding on to something that no longer serves you is like trying to row a boat forward while dragging an anchor behind you. You expend energy, you exhaust yourself, and you barely make progress. But the moment you lift the anchor, even just a little, you feel what freedom and possibility really mean. When you let go of toxic attachments, you create space in your life. Space for people who elevate you, situations that empower you, and opportunities that align with your goals and dreams. It's not about being ruthless. It's about being intentional. It's about asking yourself, does this connection bring out the best in me or does it keep me stuck? And when the answer is clear, courage is required to act. Courage to say no, courage to walk away, courage to choose yourself without guilt. The people and situations that truly belong in your life will respect that choice, and the ones that resist it were never meant to hold you. It's also worth remembering that letting go is a process, not a single moment. It doesn't always happen in dramatic fashion. Sometimes it's quiet, a decision to stop engaging, a boundary set, a mental shift that changes the way you interact. Other times it's loud and undeniable, a confrontation, a breakup, a move away. Either way, the result is the same liberation. You reclaim your energy, you reclaim your focus, you reclaim your life. And the incredible thing about releasing what no longer serves you is how quickly life begins to respond. Doors that felt closed begin to open. Clarity replaces confusion. Energy replaces exhaustion. Confidence replaces hesitation. It's not magic. It's cause and effect. When you stop pouring your energy into things that weigh you down, you suddenly have the capacity to pour it into what truly matters, your dreams, your growth, your purpose. So today, look at the people and situations in your life with honesty. Identify what no longer nourishes your soul, lifts your spirit, or propels you forward. Have the courage to release it and watch how your life expands in ways you never imagined. And now let it go. Your past failures can feel like a heavy backpack you carry everywhere you go. Every misstep, every mistake, every time you fell short, they pile up. And if you're not careful, they define the way you see yourself. But here's the truth: your past failures do not define you. They are not a measure of your worth. They are not a prophecy of what you can or cannot do. They are lessons, sometimes harsh, sometimes humbling, but always necessary for growth. And the moment you start seeing them that way, everything changes. The first thing to understand is that failure is inevitable. Life is not about avoiding failure. It's about learning how to respond to it. Every successful person has a history filled with setbacks, disappointments, and moments where things didn't work out. What separates those who thrive from those who remain stuck is not perfection, it's perspective. Every failure is training. Every setback is feedback. Every mistake is a teacher. When you start reframing your past in this way, the fear and shame associated with it begin to dissolve. Letting go of the weight of past failures means forgiving yourself, not in some vague, half-hearted way, but fully, completely, and unapologetically. It means telling yourself, I did the best I could with what I knew at the time. You cannot change yesterday, but you can shape today and tomorrow. Holding on to guilt or regret only keeps you frozen. It keeps you from taking the bold steps necessary to create the life you want. Every minute spent dwelling on what went wrong is a minute stolen from what could go right. Another powerful way to release your past is to extract the lessons it offers. Ask yourself, what did I learn? How can this experience make me stronger, wiser, and more prepared for what's ahead? When you shift your focus from blame to growth, you transform the energy of your past failures into fuel for your future success. The pain becomes purposeful and the mistakes become stepping stones. Instead of seeing them as roadblocks, you begin to see them as part of your unique journey, a journey that is shaping resilience, courage, and wisdom within you. It's also important to stop comparing your past failures to other people's successes. Comparison is a thief of confidence and momentum. You are on your own path with your own timing and your own lessons to learn. Your failures are yours, but so are your victories waiting to happen. By letting go of the shame and the weight of comparison, you open up space to focus on what truly matters, taking action, learning, and moving forward with purpose. And the freedom that comes from letting go of your past failures is profound. Suddenly, you're no longer held back by fear or doubt. Suddenly, you feel lighter, more capable, more empowered. Suddenly, you understand that the only thing standing between you and your next breakthrough is the decision to keep moving. You begin to realize that every failure you experienced was not a curse, but a preparation for the success that's waiting just ahead. So today, take a deep breath and release the past. Stop carrying yesterday's mistakes into today's opportunities. Embrace the lessons, forgive yourself, and allow the energy you once spent on regret to now propel you toward your dreams. Your future is far bigger than your past, and it's waiting for you to step fully into it. And now let the past go. One of the most common burdens we carry in life is the illusion of control. We convince ourselves that if we can just plan perfectly, predict every outcome, and manage every detail, everything will work out. We try to micromanage our lives, our relationships, our careers, even the emotions of those around us, believing that control equals safety, success, and certainty. But the truth is, the more we cling to control, the more we limit ourselves. Life is not meant to be controlled. It's meant to be experienced. The moment you surrender the need to control everything, you open the door to possibilities far greater than anything you could have orchestrated on your own. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you stressed over something you couldn't change? How many nights have you lain awake, replaying situations, wishing you could alter outcomes, convincing yourself that if only you could control it all, everything would be fine? The irony is that life rarely follows the script we try to write. Challenges arise, unexpected twists appear, people act unpredictably, and circumstances shift in ways we can't foresee. When we fight against this natural flow, we exhaust ourselves, we frustrate ourselves, and we rob ourselves of joy. Control is an illusion, but surrendering to possibility is freedom. Letting go of the need for control doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean becoming passive. It means trusting the process, trusting yourself, and trusting your capacity to respond, adapt, and thrive no matter what happens. It means understanding that you cannot dictate the world around you, but you can master the world within you, your mindset, your choices, your reactions. When you focus on what you can influence and release what you cannot, you experience a power that is far more authentic and lasting than any external control could ever give you. The moment you surrender the illusion of control, life begins to flow in unexpected ways. Opportunities that would have been invisible suddenly appear. Creativity blooms because your mind is no longer trapped in rigid expectations. Relationships deepen because you stop trying to mold people into what you want them to be and instead connect with them as they truly are. Stress melts away because you're no longer wrestling with outcomes beyond your influence. You realize that life is not about holding on tightly, it's about navigating with flexibility, embracing uncertainty, and acting decisively when the moment calls for it. This doesn't mean you ignore responsibility or stop planning. It means you plan intelligently, you act decisively, and then you release the need for a perfect result. You understand that failure, setbacks, and surprises are part of the journey, not a threat to it. By letting go of control, you reclaim your energy. You focus on creating impact rather than predicting outcomes. You live with curiosity, courage, and confidence. And in doing so, you invite abundance, growth, and fulfillment that rigid control could never deliver. It takes courage to let go of control because most of us have been conditioned to believe that holding on is safety. But true strength is knowing when to hold and when to release. True freedom is acting boldly without being shackled by fear of what might happen. Life responds to those who flow with it, not those who resist it. The more you practice surrendering control in situations big and small, the more your life aligns with the opportunities, people, and experiences you were meant to encounter. So today, make the choice to trust the process, trust yourself, and trust that even when things don't go exactly as planned, you are capable, resilient, and resourceful. Let go of the illusion of control and step into the power of possibility. And now let it go.